Ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio.
Do you or someone you know suffer from poor circulation, shortness of breath, or chest pains? Are you looking for a more natural solution to help overcome these problems? People tell us that after just a few months taking Extendivite, their doctors have noticed unexplainable improvements in their overall health. For more information, visit heartdrop.com or call 1-877-928-8822.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
And tell them Nighthawk sent you, because if you call this number and tell them Nighthawk sent you, you'll get $5 off your first order at extendivite.com. Thank you. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome to Revolution Radio.
It's once again time for Open Canvas. Join a mad painter and his guests as they search for information on subjects that have many unanswered questions. Hopefully, we can shorten the endless journey to fill reality's empty canvas. Please remember that here at Revolution.Radio, we are totally listener supported.
Howdy, folks. I hope y'all are having a pleasant Monday evening. It's pretty nice down here in the south. I bet y'all up there with all that snow and nasty weather sure wish you lived down here where I did, or do. I got an interesting show, I think, tonight for you. This guest I have, he was on Sasha and Janet's Lessin show the other last week, and I thought he was very interesting. He is a UFO contactee, but I'm interested in the tech that he was talking about. He is an inventor, and he has quite a bit of experience in physics. He's sitting on several patents right now, patent pendings, and what he was talking about with on Janet's show really intrigued me, and I thought I'd bring him on and talk more about the tech than the UFO stuff tonight. And his name is Daniel Cooper. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes.
And, I thought it was really interesting, and I thought I'd bring him on and let him explain to us the tech about these products that he's trying to bring forth to the people of the world. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. I mean, it's a Monday night. It's the end of my weekend. Monday nights is
really weekend.
It's like it's the culmination of my whole week. Getting to do the show. Yeah. Now, this tech that you've filed patents for, would you like to explain exactly what brought you to bring this technology out to people?
Oh, let's see. When did I start doing that? It was during the period I was practicing law. I was a paralegal for 20 years, and I worked for nonprofit organizations, different attorneys. Anyway, somewhere in between, I got this idea about how to create Energy from nothing is probably the best way to describe it. How to get energy from nothing. And I explored the idea in 2005, and I called it Bubble Gen. Bubble Gen. Bubble Gen is a buoyancy kinetic energy generator, and that actually got taken from me and patented, although they're not going to fess up to that. And that's actually being produced in 10 different countries right now. Gaia Energy started making them, buoyancy generators, and I'll describe that in a second. I just want to tell you where it's at. And then that was in 2005. I invented that one, and the idea came to my mind. And I started playing with it and started writing some things down, and sure enough, it penciled mathematically. And I was so shocked, I was stunned that you could create energy from nothing. And what was stunning about it is that it wasn't out there. I couldn't understand. It just seemed so simple, and I just couldn't deal with the fact that it wasn't in production. That this was something that was so easy and so obvious, wasn't in production. I mean, we're using gasoline and we're using fossil fuels and coal to create energy, and we're putting electricity in batteries to store it. It just didn't make any sense at all. And then when I played with trying to invent something that didn't use any of those things and came up with a viable idea right away, I was stunned. And that's what got me hooked. That was it. I was done. I was hooked. And I couldn't stop inventing from that point on. But I was still practicing law. I was still working as a paralegal during that period. It wasn't until I was retired, got my Social Security retirement check, that I could actually sit down and full-time start working on inventing free energy generators. Now, the buoyancy generator is now owned by Roche. I think Roche bought it from Gaia Energy. And a buoyancy generator it's kind of it's a very simple concept. Just imagine a submarine, and with a submarine, if you it's a very heavy thing, and it's a very heavy float, and if you fill it with water, then it sinks, and then if you push the water out, with air, compressed air, then it rises. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really require much energy to get it to sink, and it doesn't really require much energy to get it to rise, compared to the size and the weight of the submarine itself. The submarine itself weighs 200,000 tons, but it doesn't take 200,000 tons of energy in newtons. It doesn't take that kind of energy to get it to rise. It only takes a little bit of energy, because what they do is they leave it in a little bit. It only to go from neutral buoyancy, which means the place where it won't rise and it won't sink, to go from neutral buoyancy, they only have to add a little bit of water, a little more water than air, and then it sinks. And then to get it to rise again, they just pump in air to push out some of the water, some of the weight, and then it rises. So you only have to go a little bit off the neutral point to get it to sink, or a little bit off the neutral point to get it to rise, and it doesn't take much energy to do that. And so I theorized that, well, if you put a bunch of these floats on a chain, and put that chain on a wheel, and put that wheel on a generator, like an alternator in a car, to generate electricity, run a bunch of coils past some permanent magnets, you could generate more electricity than it took to get the floats to move from neutral buoyancy, from sinking to rising. And that's that is in fact how the Gaia Energy came out with the first, and they sold to Roche. I forgot what Roche's name, Roche LLC or Roche Corporation. I forgot the name of it. I just remember Roche. And they're the ones that are selling them in 10 different countries now. And they have a 50 megawatt size one that they're selling in Thailand, that they're building for the Thai government. And then they sell in all over Europe. They're selling these too. They sell the 15 kilowatt generator. And it's a big cylinder that's I'd say it's about a 4.5 foot to 5 foot diameter cylinder that would go from the bottom of your floor to the top of your ceiling, 10 feet, 12 feet, depending on the size of your ceiling. And that's all the space it requires, and it kicks out 15 kilowatts. 15 kilowatts is enough to run a European house. In the United States, we require 25 kilowatts peak.
Right.
So it wouldn't work in the United States, and they're working at 50 hertz, they're not working at 60, and they don't have the 25 kilohertz version because they're not allowing them in the United States. But that's a free energy generator. There's no that's producing more energy out than it takes to get it to keep going.
Right.
It's probably, I think it's a 1 to 4. I think it's a 1 to 4. Go ahead.
I know the technology is called free energy, but there's always a little bit of a cost.
There's no such thing as free energy, and there's no such thing as over unity. The energy comes from some place.
Right, and it has to be placed.
People don't know what that place is, so they like to call it. Einstein originally said that his way to describe it is, quote unquote, space isn't nothing. Space is not nothing. And what he was trying to say is that energy comes through space, or it comes through space-time is more accurate. And you can draw energy through space. Now, the first one that actually identified the fact of that in magnetic energy, because that's what the buoyancy kinetic generator really is doing. It's really it's using the magnetic energy that's coming through space-time. The first person that identified that the reality that magnetic energy is actually coming through space, and it's not, and that it's inexhaustible, was Hertz, the guy that they named the Hertz after. 50 hertz, right. 50 cycles per second. The European standard, 60 cycles per second. U.S. standard. Hertz, that guy. In 1862, he wrote a paper, and I could never find the paper. I only found Poincaré's paper in 1888, and he was the one that credited Hertz. He said Hertz was the one that first pointed out the fact that magnetic energy, they called it the ether back then. All the old scientists back then, they call it the ether because it comes from the ether, meaning through space, energy that comes through space. So essentially what a permanent magnet is, the easiest way for me to describe it, is that a permanent magnet is opening a door for that energy to come through space into our time and our reality. Right. And that's what a permanent magnet does. And what Poincaré did is he did in his article, and I have a copy of that article, and I can post all that stuff up for you. I am going to start posting this stuff with Janet. She wants to start doing more visual presentations of this science. But Poincaré, he basically said, well, I took a bar of iron and I put it next to a magnet and it became magnetized. Then I put another bar next to it and it became magnetized. And I put another bar next to it and it became magnetized. No matter how many bars I put next to it, they all became magnetized. So the magnetic energy that was in the magnet is not confined to the magnet. And that was his conclusion. He did other experiments as well, other actual physical experiments to prove that magnetic energy is not confined to the space of the magnet, that it's coming through space, and that the permanent magnet is merely opening the door for that magnetic energy to come through space. And that article is extremely interesting. You really should read it. It's a great read.
No, that sounds awesome to me. It does sound like a good read. We've been joined by Janet Kara Lessin. She has joined us tonight.
Oh, hey, Janet.
Hi. Yeah, I'm here. I've been listening. It's wonderful. Yeah, go ahead. Keep talking. Explain to us what's
you missed
going
my
on,
blunder of an intro.
Oh, what did you do?
I missed it too.
What'd you do?
I wasn't sure how to introduce him because I wasn't really sure what he was, how he classifies his inventions and other than it being a free energy type technology.
Right. Okay.
Oh, they're very, very real, and we're going to prove it up to everybody.
No, I didn't say they weren't real. I was just saying I just didn't really know how to bring it out,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's my. That is one of my expertise is I can dumb it down, and most people don't have the high level mathematics required to really mathematically prove it. So I try to dumb it down. If I had the ability to do visual presentations, which Janet's going to provide for me, and it makes it so much easier for me to explain it to people.
Right now, everybody knows that a magnet has a magnetic field around it, just like the Earth has got a magnetic field around it. But what you're saying is what these items actually do is just allow the power of the magnetics to come through the ether to the item.
Right. The magnet itself is a window or a door.
Right.
And it opens up a point in space for the energy, the magnetic energy, to come through the ether, to come through space into our time and reality. And it's unlimited. It lasts as long as the magnet lasts. And what Poincaré was pointing out is that you can keep spending it. You can keep using it. It doesn't exhaust itself until the magnet itself decays. Magnets have a half-life, and it happens to be 500,000 years. And when they reach permanent magnets have a half-life. And so after 500,000 years, they no longer give off magnetic energy. Yeah, they'll give off magnetic energy, constantly keep giving it and giving it and giving it for 500,000 years. Permanent magnets. But the point is, hold on, slow down. So wait, Janet, let me finish this point. Janet, let me finish this point.
Okay. Go ahead.
It isn't a permanent magnet opens the door. Many things open the door. Electricity opens the door, and everybody knows an electromagnet creates magnetic energy. So an electromagnet also opens the door for the magnetic energy to come through. So I can use an electromagnet also to do free energy generation. I don't need a permanent magnet to do free energy generation. It's the magnetic energy itself that we use to create free energy. Go ahead, Janet.
Oh, I just wanted to say I had a roommate. Oh, this is going on 20 years ago. I had a roommate, and he was working on this free energy magnetic system. And if I recall correctly, what was the most troublesome for him was getting the magnets that he needed, and they were very expensive. Are the magnets that you're going to be using cost effective?
I can use regular neodymium magnets, and I don't. And the generators that the Department of Defense and the Department of Energy they don't want permanent magnet ones. They want me to use electromagnets.
Okay.
And that's exactly why I was trying to say that the same thing can be done with electromagnets. They don't like permanent magnets because they're too easy to degauss, they're too easy to demagnetize, and they're very and they're kind of finicky, and they don't like them, and they're kind of expensive too. And so they said, well, can you do it? Can you make these big 1 gigawatt? They want on 1 gigawatt. That's their thing. They're really stuck on 1 gigawatt. Have you any idea what a gigawatt is?
It's pretty.
It's pretty big. Okay. It give you an idea of a gigawatt, right? All of China uses 15 gigawatts a year.
Wow.
All of China. And they are the second largest consumer of electricity in the world. To give you an idea what a gigawatt is. And these guys want me to make that. They want me to make a gigawatt generator with no permanent magnets. Electromagnets, please. I said, sure, no problem.
Yeah, well, that sounds to me like they're just trying to make it impossible for you.
No. They know it's not. You don't believe.
What I'm saying is,
don't believe, Thomas, that the secret space program is real. It's very real, Thomas.
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't. No, I never said that. No, I'm saying making a free energy device that puts out 1 gigawatt of power would be overkill for putting one in your house.
No, they don't want them in the houses yet.
That's what I'm saying. This seems to me it's like a crutch to keep you from being able to make people self-sufficient.
No. It'll bring down the cost of electricity down to a tenth of a penny per kilowatt hour. It means that you don't have to worry.
It would still be controlling the purse strings.
The tenth of a penny per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
You don't have to work.
Are they going to pass it? Are they going to pass it down to us? They can save themselves all that money and never have any incentive.
And you don't think they're going to pass it down to us? Janet, if they have control of the technology, they can get away with that, but they don't have control of the technology.
So explain this to us.
Well, I don't work for them. I'm an independent inventor, and my patents are my property. They don't belong to them.
Right. And that's for 20 years.
20 years. Every patent is good for 20 years.
Okay. So how does that process work that they can't do it? I mean, people don't really obey that law. You know what I mean? They could.
Yeah, but
they
you're
could
kind
do
of
it,
talking
reverse
about
engineer.
somebody who basically takes your patent and goes ahead and produces it, but they'd have to
Yes.
produce it for less money in order to get away with that. The only reason you would take somebody's patent is if you intended to recreate it and then sell it for less money. Otherwise, it doesn't pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you just complained first about them charging too much, and now you're telling me that there are going to be people who are going to steal to sell it for less.
Well,
It's
not
kind of
necessarily sell it for less, but they would have the technology, and then they would.
It's okay if they have the
just have
technology because they have
technology.
to produce it for less. So it's okay if they take the technology as long as they're going to sell it for less. See, it's competitive when you have two people that have the technology and they each want to produce it for less. Eventually, it's going to come down to a tenth of a penny per kilowatt hour. If you have no
what
competitors,
will the world be like? What will the world be like with
when no one
a
has to work
penny
anymore?
kilowatt hour?
The end of industrial slavery when no one has to work anymore? You mean like that?
Yes, please explain that to us, because I was talking to Steve Bassett yesterday.
Well, the way I
what the
had
world would be like
Chinese people, some Chinese people asked me, what would that be like? A lot of people always ask me that question, and for Chinese people, I basically said, well, it's like making everybody a rich person. Rich people don't have to go to work because they're wealthy and they don't have to work to make ends meet. So it's like making everybody rich, everybody wealthy. Unlimited power, unlimited.
Somebody's still got to scrub the toilets, so there's still going to be work, right?
No. You can no. I got vacuum cleaners that run around my house that operate by themselves. I could make a toilet scrubber that scrubs a toilet. You don't need to scrub your own toilets anymore. No, really, the technology explosion is going to be big, but it's going to get. This is the transition technologies we're going through now. But we're very rapidly approaching what people call the Star Trek society. Very rapidly, we're going to
I can see that happening, But I mean, with 7 billion people in the world, wouldn't that cause a little bit of a problem?
No, not really, because we have over 100. We have 100 bases throughout this solar system alone, and we have colonies all over the galaxy. It's just not like
the average
person
isn't going to see this or even know about this.
There's plenty of places. There's plenty of places for people to go.
So you think you believe this would open up our solar system at least then?
I think that much further than that. We have colonies. The United States military has colonies all over the galaxy. And several other galaxies. Big colonies. We're not talking about small colonies. They have 250 million people out there in those colonies. It's nothing to a lot of people will want to get involved in the program and go out to the colonies, but it's no big deal to even have 7 billion people here when you have that kind of assets. You clean up the planet. It'll be a pristine planet. It's going to be completely different technological capabilities allows us to do those things. What the people who are in charge, the powers that be, they're afraid that everybody's just going to sit around and get loaded all day, and they're not going to.
Well, that was kind of what I was getting at, because we do have quite a few people that don't do their fair share now.
Okay, so they drink themselves to death. So what?
So you assume that they will weed themselves out eventually, then?
There's only so much boozing you can do, so much smoking you can do. Right. I mean, after a while, most people turn around and go, "This is boring."
Yeah, people are going to get bored with
Cheech and Chong didn't stay.
Luxury.
Sorry, Janet.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. We were both talking at the same time. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Cheech and Chong didn't stay in the jungle and get stoned. They actually went to work. And nobody does that. I mean, after a while, it gets old. It's boring.
Right.
And
people are going to want to do something creative that they're going to get bored. So right now, people are so hungry for luxury time because there is no luxury time. We have to work our butts to death right now, and so we think,
but they're doing menial things. They're doing menial things that are just so boring themselves. It's worse. But everybody's going to become artists and scientists and musicians and or get into just being family, doing very family oriented, socially oriented, politically active, and that's the big thing the powers that be are afraid of. Oh my God, all those people are going to be politically active.
What do you do with the people who are dead set against technology, like the
You mean the Amish? We let them have their farms. They can go off and enjoy their farms and walk around with their horses and their little fires, and that's okay.
What do you do with the ones that say that if you don't believe in my God, then you don't have a right to exist? I mean, we're so diverse that.
Yes, diversity is fine, but there are colonies, many colonies that are that's all they are, that they're just that one religion or they're just that one belief. And there are places for those people to go that they already exist. They want to live like that with those people, fine, there's a place to go.
Well, I believe we can make a utopia here on Earth myself. I personally think the Earth can handle 12 billion people if we manage it right.
Well, I do too, but your point was, what are we going to do with the people that can't tolerate the rest of us? Those people have places to go. There are colonies where they can go.
So how do we keep the peace? How do we keep the peace? We have free energy. We have no more motivation to kill each other because there's more than enough food to go around. We can sit there and call these people lazy, that people lazy, but the work is going to get done. How does the work that needs to be done? There's always something that needs to be done. We have replicators. I mean, somebody's got to bathe the kids, right? Well, there's still work that gets done. Are we going to have robots?
No. Well, there are robots that'll do lots of things. We already have machines to do lots of things. They'll just be doing more things. But you believe it or not, that most people like doing things themselves. Like, I don't know about you. I raised my own 2 children, and I don't think I would want a robot to do that. I enjoyed doing those things.
Yeah, I kind of think I'd frown against that myself.
Yeah, I mean, take away those pleasures from me. The personal, pleasure of raising children and having fun with your children, playing with your children. And I don't think I'm going to delegate a robot to those tasks. I mean, that was just too much fun.
Well, now these patents that you have filed, can you tell us something about these products?
The latest patent, the prior 5 patents I filed with someone else, so I can't talk about those because I don't have that person's permission. All right. But that's irrelevant because I've gone way beyond that. The current patent I filed on the 9th. Remember the Department of Defense and Department of Energy came to me and said, well, we want you to do it without permanent magnets. The 5 prior patents were all based on permanent magnets. So I had to sit down and work on coming up with a way to do it without permanent magnets. Anyway, I did. And so the first patent in that direction, I filed on the 9th of this month. And it's just a component. You have to understand anything like this has a number of components, not 1,000 components. It's more like there are actually 10 different components, key components to the generator. This is a solid state electricity generator, generates electricity and nothing moves, generates a lot of electricity and nothing moves. Solid state, that's why we say solid state. Solid state is best because they'll last 30 years. You can actually warrant it for 30 years. A transformer is a solid state device. It'll last 30 years. They warrant them for 30 years. They do last 30 years. These generators will last 30 years. You don't ever have to turn them off, ever. You can leave them on for 30 years. And it'll kick out all electricity you possibly want. They want the big ones first. That's fine. I designed one that's the size of a shoebox that'll run your house for 30 years straight. And only costs a couple $100 in materials to make, but that's neither here nor
there. That's what I'm really interested.
Yeah, I knew you were going to get to that part. We'll get to that. We'll get that there first. But so this particular patent is just for one of the 10 components. It's not, and that component itself is a switch. It's actually a switch, and I'm going to describe it real quick. That component is just simply a switch, but that switch now allows motors to go 10 times faster than they've ever gone before. That means now we have motors that can fly jets, and we now have motors that can run ships better than any gas engine that's ever, or any jet gas engine, or any gasoline engine. It's now twice the power of anything. Well, it's actually 6 times the power of any other means of producing energy in a motor or a jet engine. Okay, so that switch is a significant invention. It's a big deal just for motors. I got people that are wanting to buy the switch just for motors, just for electric motors. They don't care about the over unity part. They don't care about the free energy part. They don't want that. They want the motor. They want to have the most powerful motors in the world. That's why I started with the switch, the first component of 10. So I'm going to patent each of the components, and then I'll patent the generator. I figure, see, because there's a lot of the powers that be, they don't want these generators out. So I figure, well, hey, I got a way to get around that one. I'll just patent each one of the components.
Yeah, and then all the pieces that are there, they just have to be put together.
Yeah, and then it's easy to just make the final patent and, the generator. Of course, I already have the 10 components, so, Anyway, I'll just give you an example. The very fastest electric motor operates at a speed of 3.3 kilohertz. A hertz is 1 cycle per second. Off, on, turning the switch off and on. If you turn the switch off and then on, if you turn off your electric light in your house, off and on once a second, that's 1 hertz. 1 cycle per second, 1 hertz. Right. So the very fastest motor switches, the electric switch inside the motor, the very fastest it switches is 3,300 cycles per second. That's the fastest electric motor, and that's exceedingly slow. The switch that I just patented switches at 25,000 hertz.
Well, that's a hell of a jump.
Right. That's a huge increase in that's a paradigm shift in reality technologically, and it's just the switch.
Well, that switch alone would have, implications.
It has huge impact throughout the world. Yes, just the switch alone.
Now
I'm patenting another switch, which is even better.
Computers to dump trucks,
Well, the reason I'm doing that is because, remember, I'm making electric generators that are free energy. So you put an onboard electric generator onto a car, it has to match up to a motor that's worth it.
Right. So
I started with the switch. I'm now working on a patent. I'll be finished with this one in a month and a half, and I'll file that one. It's a switch again, just for a higher level, in the superconductor level, the 1 gigawatt level that they really want me to design with. The first switch I did is for much smaller motors. This one is for the big motors, the big ship motors and the big turboprop airplane motors. The switch I'm working on right now, and I'm going to file that patent in a month to month and a half from now. Then I'm going to start actually patenting the motors themselves. So, because you got to know how to use the switch.
So what's your time period on this?
It takes me about a month to get a patent out the door. So
I meant to the end product here.
You're talking about the actual generators themselves?
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, one of these companies that's going to be paying me for these switches and these motors is going to say, hey, I really do want that generator. And I'm going to go, well, do you have permission from the United States government to manufacture them? And they go, well, I don't know. Let me go see. And I'll say, well, when you got permission to make 1 million of them, and they're going to let you sell 1 million of them, then sure, I'll patent that for you. No problem. But until I get a company that comes to me and says, yes, I have permission from the United States to manufacture at a minimum 1 million units, I'm not gonna file that patent. I'm gonna file all the components, and I'll sell all the components. I'll have my own money by that time. Do it myself somewhere else. I don't need to stay in the United States if they don't want to do it.
Right. So what? So you're talking, 5 to 10 years then?
No. I'm talking about 2 to 5. 2 to 5. In 5 years, actually, the United States has come to me several times, and they keep trying to offering money. They offered me 100 million the other time, and I said no, not unless I get a guarantee of a million units minimum. Oh no, we don't do that. And I said, well then, come back when you're ready to do that, because I'm not interested in. 100 million doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean anything unless you're going to do this for the world. If you're not going to do this for the world, I'm not interested. I need a guarantee that you're going to manufacture a million units.
Well, you don't want to end up like Tesla.
Well, no. See, you don't. No. That was all a snow job. Tesla was really big. I know what Tesla invented because I reinvented most of the stuff he invented, and I went past him. But that's bragging. That's way out there. No, Tesla was the originator of the secret space program. I can actually send you Tesla's patents in 1927 when he patented the first aircraft that employed the sixth force. Oh, by the way, there are more energy forms than electricity and magnetic energy. The next energy form above magnetic energy is called anti-gravity energy. It's called the sixth force. Magnetic energy is called the fifth force. Electricity is called electricity still, and the fourth force. The fifth force is magnetic energy. The sixth force is anti-gravity energy, but it does more than just anti-gravity. The sixth force is really interesting because it repels gravity the same way two magnets of the same pole repel each other. The sixth force repels gravity. So when you fire it up in a spaceship, enough of it, it'll repel the Earth's gravity at the speed of light, 99% the speed of light, warp 1. So Nikola Tesla invented the first warp 1 spaceship in 1929. He actually patented it. But I have his 27 patents, and I can send you those. I will send you those and I'll talk to you about them and how they work. There are other forces above magnetic energy. There's the sixth force, there's the seventh force, and then there's the eighth force. Nikola Tesla invented the sixth force, and he actually perfected it. He perfected it enough where he created the first Warp 1 spaceship in 1929 and patented it. So he was no bum.
Oh, no, that wasn't what I was saying. They suppressed his technology.
Oh, yeah, they suppressed all the stuff he did.
That's what I was saying. You don't want to end up like Tesla and having everything suppressed.
Oh, right. Oh, we're done with suppression. We had enough of that. We have a little thing called the initiative process. And Nikola Tesla didn't have the initiative process. We have the initiative process in the United States. That means we don't need our politicians to make laws. We can make them. Right? Did I lose you?
I don't know. The politicians have been making quite a few of them.
Then you know what an initiative is. Okay. With the initiative process, we can force the disclosure of this technology. We can unsuppress the technology ourselves.
Well, that's what I've always thought. That's why I was wondering about these house generators. Really, the free energy disclosure is going to come in the fact that people build their own. I don't see them allowing it being manufactured, mass-produced here in the United States. Now, I do know that Tesla.
Yeah, it's against the law. It's against the law to hook one up to your house. It's against the law to hook one up to your house. It's a felony, and they'll arrest you for it.
Right. So,
yeah, you don't want to do that. That's not how.
And see, in the state of Florida, it's against the law to not be connected to the grid.
Correct. Now you understand. You're not allowed to hook up generators to your house. You can't do that.
So, and the only way I see this happening is if we all just say to hell with that and build our own.
No. The way I'm doing it's going to work. It'll work. It just takes time. It won't take forever. Right? Like I said, 2 to 5 years, I'll have it done.
So, how did you come up about this technology for these switches? Did you come up with it yourself, or did you have help with it?
No, nobody helps me. I invent all on my own. I have nobody assisting me. I do all my own work. And it's a lot of work. You have to read thousands of academic articles, and you have to know what you're reading. And then you have to absorb all that and then work with that information and then invent from there. It's not so simple. It's a lot of work.
Well, no, I wasn't implying that it was simple.
Oh.
I was curious if you had some outside help. Did you
Oh,
channel
no,
any of the
no,
information?
no,
or, you know,
Nope.
to look into a crystal ball?
No. It's a lot of academic research. When I started working on this patent, I had to do what's called a patent search, because you have to find out if anyone else invented it, because you can't get a patent on something that someone else invented.
Right.
So you have to go.
People don't realize that now. They had no clue how inventions and patents work.
Yeah, so you have to go through the patent library. You have to look at all the prior patents. You have to do a patent search, like searching a database. You type in keywords, and then you have to look at all the patents that come up with those keywords or key phrases, and then you have to look at all the patents and see if anybody else did it, what you're trying to patent. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, because you won't get a patent on it. You can't get a patent on something that's already been invented. In fact, you'd be infringing on someone else's patent if it's still within their 20-year period.
Right.
So you can't do that. So you have to search through the patent database. So I typed in the term magnetic flux switch, and I thought, I'll get 20 of them come up, right? 210,000 patents.
Whoa.
210,000 patents came up with the search term magnetic flux switch. I didn't know what to do with that. I mean, was I going to read through all 210? I read through at least 40,000 of them, and because I had to add search terms in order to whittle it down, and to make sure that I was able to. But you're talking about thousands. I read thousands of patents. You think about that one, and then that's not where it stops. That's not the only place you have to look. You have to see if anybody published. Was there an article that someone published with your idea? So you can't just go into the patent library. You have to go to all the academic article libraries. So I read thousands of academic articles to see if anybody had already done what I was about to patent. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Did I lose you?
No. I'm reading comments. I'm getting a lot of people saying stuff.
Okay.
And they want to know who you were and if you had a website and stuff like that.
No. I don't have time for websites. I'm not a social bug. I'm a what do you call it? The nutty professor. I'm sitting here reading thousands of patents and doing hundreds of drawings and lots of mathematical calculations. It's just work. Inventing is a lot of hard work. I don't have time for a website.
Well, yeah, I know that inventing is a lot of work. I've met a few inventors, and they don't even won't even answer the phone, let alone anything else.
Yeah.
Janet asked if I muted her, and no, ma'am, I didn't. It's your microphone wire.
Did you cut her off? Did she think she got cut off?
Yeah. And it's her microphone wire. She's having problems with her mic.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to try to switch over to my computer. Maybe when you have a break. Do you have a break or something? Oh, here, I can do a call there. Okay, I'm going to try to switch over to my computer. Wait.
Barely hear you.
Stay here. Okay. I'm going to try to connect another way.
I'm not even sure what she said.
Yeah, she said she'll try to connect another way.
Oh, yeah, she might try and get on the other computer.
Yeah, that's what she said. And I could barely hear that too. So, did you? So what else, Thomas? What you want me
I
to
doubt they
about?
even heard it out there. Well, what I was getting at is when I asked you if you had help with this, I was wondering if any of your ET.
Oh no! It's not like that.
Had anything to do with it. This is why I was just curious.
I have an engineer, a chief engineer of a big company, and I haven't gotten his permission to mention his name. So I can't do that without his permission. And I'm basically, I was trying to woo him. He didn't really help at all, but that doesn't mean anything. I was getting him to follow the process because he was kind of vetting me for his company, and he wasn't too sure if that I was actually doing the work. So I actually kept briefing him every other day as to my progress on the patent, so he could see how I invent. himself, so he could validate it for his company. Say, no, I watched this guy do it. He's the real deal, kind of thing. But I can't mention his name, not without his permission.
Right. I think Janet has joined us back now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Now we
perfect.
can.
Perfect now.
Okay, I just tried this old computer, so it is working. Okay, so I'm back, and I had a million questions, and I forgot what I wanted to ask. But so these systems, you actually saw these systems in operation when, and I know I'm going to the secret space program, but Daniel's already evoked that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
these are things that you saw in action, and you saw societies operating that way. So you can really kind of tell us how this pans out. And you're talking about how we have colonies throughout the galaxy. We're not just talking our solar system.
Right.
So some of the concerns are like, well, first of all, I guess people are concerned that other people will be lazy, and you were addressing that. So what, right?
Well,
so what if they
all advanced societies, they do one or two things. Everybody just decides that they all want to do something. They all decide they want to do. They all become involved. They all want to do something. They evolve into that. All advanced, technologically advanced societies that have free energy and above, they don't become lazy. They don't become complacent. They either do that, and there are societies that actually it becomes the law. You have to work. You have to do something. They don't care what it is, but you have to work. You can't be lazy. And of course, you're going to get that too. You'll get governments that you have to work. You can't just sit around and do nothing. But mind you, that goes across the board, meaning all those rich people that just sit down and party all the time. Well, now they have to work. See?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what kind of work do they have? Like if you have everything automated
in highly technologically advanced societies, most of them are doing. A lot of them are doing art. Art becomes a real big thing, art and music. The arts and the arts become a really big thing. They get really into it. They get into spiritual life. A lot of them become very involved in trying to advance themselves spiritually. We have so many different religions. That's not too hard to do. Pick one. Go ahead.
Right.
Have fun. Now you can do that. And then you get a lot of people that get involved in the sciences and the math and sciences. But then you get a lot of people that they want to go and they want to explore the galaxy, and they want to go and they want to study the galaxy. I remember one of people in the secret space program. He said, "Yeah, Saturn's an interesting place. It's Saturn has an ocean under it, right? Under its crust, a huge ocean."
I don't know much about
Okay, it has a huge
Saturn.
ocean.
Never
It
been
has
here.
a huge ocean that has so many different aquatic species that it's mind-boggling. And it was described to me by this one guy. He said they don't look anything like the fish in our ocean. He said they're so different. He said that we have people that go there and they never want to come back. We have our bases are in those seas on Saturn. And also, what was that moon? We have 8 oceans in our galaxy, 8 huge oceans in our galaxy on different moons and different planets. In our solar system. Oops, made a mistake. We have 8 oceans in our solar system alone, not on this planet.
8 oceans.
Oceans,
So you're considering
big giant oceans with oceans of water or water compound like. And Saturn is one of them, and I think it was Euphrates is one of them, and I forgot the other 8. I listed the 8. And NASA actually came in with an article saying that there's these 8 oceans, and they theoretically can all have life. They have a lot of life. They have a lot of life. And we have people there that they just go nuts over that. Oh my God, I get to study this,
So that's all considered work. So if you sit around doing art all day, that's considered contributing to society. That's
yes.
That's work.
Art, music, yes, yeah. But you get to do that all the time, and you become a great artist. You become a great musician, or even if you're a bad musician, who cares? You ever sit around? You know what jamming is? You guys know. You guys are.
Yeah.
Everybody sit around. Let's have a jam. Who cares how well you play? Let's just jam. You don't.
So what kind of work does it have to be covered by a society? here in our society, we're talking about an advanced society. We're in a level 0 society, so we don't know how it works. So we're trying to wrap our head around and envision what level in the Kardashev scale, what level are these societies that you're talking about? Are they like a 3, 4, 5?
You're talking about the Michio Kaku different levels. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about the Michio Kaku scale.
Yeah.
It's called the Michio Kaku scale. Okay.
Okay.
And I believe it's a 1 to 10. Is it a 1 to 10 scale, or was it a 1 to 8 scale?
It's based on technological.
No. But what is the scale? It's 1 to 8 or 1 to 10?
I think it's 1 to 4.
What?
Well,
1 to 4.
I heard as high as 6. 1 to 6. But
that makes more sense. You're right. Now I remember 1 to 6. We're moving from. He calls us a 0. We are a 0. And we were moving very, very rapidly into a 1. Many of the more advanced societies that have been around for a billion years or 15 million years, for millions of years, they're up there on the 6th level. And what do? They most of them sit around and they spend time with family. They get involved in spiritual development. A lot of them are artists. A lot of them, they like to work out a lot. They like to physically work out. They like to run. The inner earth beings are really cool. They love to run. I mean, run. Like 26 miles kind of run.
Right.
Run all morning and then go to
I wouldn't fit into that group.
And then go to the library, and there's a lot of people that they really enjoy swimming, playing water polo. They're very athletic. A lot of these very advanced civilizations, they're really into their athletics and keeping in shape. Really good shape because they live a long time.
Well, they're healthy. They're healthy. They're not subjected to all the chemicals.
But there is no disease. There is no disease and there's no ailments. That's all been solved. So they're very healthy and they just want to work out. They really want to work out. And they do all these. They do a lot of the physical things that we do, but everybody gets into it. You remember that what was that Star? It was Star Trek. It was Star Trek where they went to that planet and everybody's running and nobody walks. That's a real planet.
Well, I would run if I could, but I have lung disease, so I can't run very far.
No, I'm not saying you should. I'm not telling you should run. You asked me, what do these people do? You asked me, what I'm telling you.
I would love to. I remember running. I remember having air.
Yeah, they work out. They spend a lot of time in athletics. A lot of time in developing. All of them are scientists in different areas. Botanists and zoologists and mathematicians, and they all just get involved in different things.
You can probably learn to be all kinds of things besides
different endeavors. Yeah, different endeavors. It's like here, where we really like our athletes and we really like our musicians, but we don't care anything about our engineers. Same there. Everybody adores their musicians and their athletes.
Oh, they don't care about the engineers? Oh.
No, they do more there. The reason that we get the reason is that all your top engineers here are secreted away, put into the military because it's just another way of suppressing the technology. They call it the brain drain. They still do that. They still do the brain drain.
Once they get you under national security,
they still do the brain drain. If you're smart, they take you and you're a secret and nobody can talk to you anymore. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Can't get too popular that way.
Yeah, I have friends that have disappeared. Yeah, I understand that. So what about health? Are they able to reverse all these effects of being exposed to all these toxins? What will happen when we're living in a clean planet?
Each planet or each species has a different lifespan. Like a lot of the reptilians, their lifespan is in the thousands of years, even up to 30,000 years. That's a normal lifespan, but they do die. They do get old. They're just very healthy. Our lifespan is supposed to be around. Naturally, our lifespan is supposed to be around 1,000 years. That was changed. We were genetically engineered away from our normal lifespan. Without technology, our normal lifespan was supposed to be 1,000 years, around 1,000 years. Right. You read things like the Bible, Moses living 800 years. You're like, what? and doesn't make any sense, but that is actually the way we were a long time ago. And so we're going to be gradually genetically engineering ourselves back to that length of time, where our natural lifespan is 800 to 1,000 years, our natural lifespan. As far as extending your life, putting you in a clone, our society won't go the Gray's direction. Most societies shy away from the cloning, putting your soul, as you're about to die, then putting your soul into another clone of yourself and then letting you go on. You can only do that for 1,000 times, but it's very bad for a society to do that. Every society that's done that has gone the Gray's direction, where they drive themselves into extinction. They either have to depart from the cloning, or become extinct. So that's why a lot of societies
tend to hybridize. So what we're getting from our experiencers and others, secret space program people are explaining that they hybridize. So apparently we're the end results of a huge genetic hybridization program that's been going on for millions of years. So it doesn't stay stagnant. The species may evolve, and there's a lot of cloning and transference of souls. Yeah. And sometimes that's what they use to transport you rather than exposure in space. This is what I'm getting. I don't know. I'm talking to you because you've been in it as well. But I'm talking about 25 different secret space program people. Plus we've got...
You're talking about what they call the 26 experiments. Okay.
That's our break right there. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Hello, all you good-looking people out there in Revolution Radio. This is Mario. I invite you to join me Thursdays at 6 o'clock for This, That, and the Other. It's a show about you, it's a show about me, but ultimately it's a show where we try to have a little bit of fun. We discuss important topics, and we do our best to be apolitical. So I invite you, put on your favorite pair of comfy sweats, your smoking jacket, and grab a beverage of your choice, and join me Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock for This, That, and the Other on Revolution Radio.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven, Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
From the astral realms to the physical plane, the halls of power to the walls of home, the multiverse to the innerverse, all will be haunted by the ghost in the machine. I am Steve Zerloff, the ghost in the machine. Mondays, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Studio B, exclusively here on Revolution.Radio.
This is Barbara DeLong, host of Nightlight Radio, inviting you to join me on a cosmic journey, exploring a metaphysical montage of spiritual material, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between, including spiritual readings for those who seek enlightenment. Let Nightlight provide you with equal measure of light, love and laughter, insight, wisdom, and inspiration. Monday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Studio B, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Do you or someone you know suffer from poor circulation, shortness of breath, or chest pains? Are you looking for a more natural solution to help overcome these problems? People tell us that after just a few months taking Extendivite, their doctors have noticed unexplainable improvements in their overall health. For more information, visit heartdrop.com or call 1-877-928-8822.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
And tell them Nighthawk sent you, because if you call this number and tell them Nighthawk sent you, you'll get $5 off your first order at extendivite.com. Thank you. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back, folks. I hope you've enjoyed the first half of the show. I'm finding it extremely interesting. I want to remind everybody that we are totally listener-supported, so if you got a buck or two, we'd sure appreciate it. Come on down to the home page, which is revolution.radio, and check out the chat room. We got a bunch of people in there, and they're talking. Shoot, and they're not always talking about what we're talking about, so you can probably strike up a conversation with like-minded people in there, and while you're in there, drop us a couple of bucks. We could sure appreciate it. We've got Daniel Cooper on, and he's talking about free energy devices and what's going on and out in the solar system and a little bit further on. And we've got a special co-host tonight, Janet Lessin. And I'd like to get back to the talk. Janet, would you like to start us off?
Oh, okay, yeah. We were talking at the break about what is it like out there in the cosmos? What are these civilizations that are beyond ours? How do they operate? What's their societal structures? How do they do work? Who does work? What do they consider work? All those things. We have examples of spacefaring technologies and societies, and that's Star Trek. But how accurate is the Star Trekian reality based on what you personally encountered in the secret space program? And there's a million questions. Daniel, how does it compare to Star Trek or Star Wars?
Before I jump into that one, as far as the free energy technology goes, the United States government is starting to unsuppress or disclose officially. Actual formal official disclosure of free energy began in November of 2017. When NASA published the peer review of the M drive, NASA's peer review of the M drive, EMDRIBE. And that's a significant moment in the history of the United States, significant moment in the history of the world. NASA's, the United States government.
If you can handle a little dry reading, it is an awesome read.
No, I'm going to actually explain to everybody how it works. And on another show, when I can do some visual aids, I can actually bring it down real quick for people. But I can't do it without the visual aids. It just, when Janet provides.
Well, that's why I said, if people will go search.
Oh, yeah, no.
I was asked
the point is that that's the first time the United States formally came out and admitted to free energy officially. That's a real quick question
about your patent. Somebody asked me about how much does it cost to file a patent.
Oh, $70 for a micro entity. A person that's a very small business is called a micro entity, and I'm a micro entity. I'm a one person, a one person shop.
Wow, that's nowhere near what I thought it'd be.
$70, and it's good all throughout the whole world. Pretty good, right?
Yeah, like I said,
there's more involved in it. That's the first year. Then you have to file the full blown non-provisional. But within that year, usually, if you're smart enough, you're able to sell your provisional patent, your 1 year patent, and then the company you sell to, they pick up the fees for the non-provisional, which is the full blown 20. So it's really a 21 year property right, intellectual property right thing. But if you're real smart, you just pay $70 to do the provisional, the 1 year, and then you find a company, you sell it to them, and then they pay the fees for the rest. Okay.
So it's $75 a year then, if you want to.
$70. $70 patent.
But that's for 1 year, right?
It's only for the 1 year. Then within that year, you have to file for the non-provisional. You have to turn your provisional into a non-provisional, which is for the full 20. That costs more, but usually by that time, you have a company on board that'll pay the fees. Otherwise, you're wasting your time if you can't get a company. And if you can't convince a company to get on board within that 1 year, going on your own dime, and you have to make that decision on your own. Do you really want to keep going? You're not getting any support. No one else believes that your invention has worth.
Now, if you don't do this, does it become open source?
No, because it's not published. Provisional patents are not published. It doesn't become open source. It's only open source if you publish it publicly.
All right.
The Patent Office doesn't publish provisional patents.
Well, there's your answer, Jerber.
Anyway, okay, Janet. The reason I wanted to do that, Janet, is I really want to make it clear that that the United States government took this out of the realm of science fiction, free energy, completely took it out of the realm of science fiction, came out and officially said free energy is real. This is the very first time we're officially saying this, and that's why it's an extremely important read.
Do you know why they did that?
Well, sure I do.
What was their motivation to do that?
Well, I and other people like me had a lot to do with it. We forced the issue because we're independent inventors and we're bringing it out very rapidly because I filed 5 patents for one thing. And they realized that I was very serious and I was going to keep going on my own until it was brought out. So they don't want to be, NASA doesn't want to get caught with their pants hang. Is it pants down? Is that a way to explain it?
Yeah, they don't want to. Down, yeah.
They want to get caught flat-footed. That's another way to say it. So they now have to come out and officially do that. And also, believe it or not, Obama had something to do with it. He wanted it brought out, and then actually, it was supposed to be officially released in September 2016, and he forced them to do that. But somehow they got out of it. And then as soon as Trump got into office, he insisted that they release that, and they did in November. Right after he got elected, they released it because they were afraid he was going to come down on them like a ton of bricks. Because Obama had told Trump what NASA had done. And he contacted him and said, you will release that. And they did. And they did in November. So the two presidents together had a lot to do with that. It wasn't just me and other inventors like me that forced the release. There's a lot of people that had brought to the attention the secret space program, like Greer and so many others that brought the attention to the secret space program to the Obama administration and the Trump administration. So they want to see it released. They may not have the power to release it, but at least Obama and Trump had the power to force NASA to release the truth about the M drive. The M drive patent was originally filed by Dr. Scheer in 1999. He filed that patent. And he didn't actually get the patent awarded to him until 2017, August of 2017. When he got the patent awarded to him by the British Patent Office in August of 2017, that's when NASA said, well, we were going to release the peer review in September 2016, but now we have to. So the British also had something to do with that by actually giving him an award on that patent. Also, what was interesting is that the Chinese actually stole the patent, recreated it, flew it in space, found out it worked, and then they published that worldwide. Their findings, they actually built it and flew it, and it worked just like Scheer said it was going to work. That was in 2014, August of 2014. So there were a lot of players that involved in bringing that out, Janet. Does that help?
That helps. So what do they know? So our presidents, Trump and Obama and everybody else, what do they know about the secret space program?
No, they know. They listen to you, Janet. Their kids listen to you. He's got a 10-year-old kid that's really into you, Janet. What's that kid of his? Anyway, we stay away from the president's children. We don't mess with the children. That's taboo. But the children are very much into the program, and they want to see the development. Trump does too. But the president has no power. Not really. He doesn't have control of that technology. He would love to, but he doesn't. He had to go to the Russians and say, hey, you got any of this technology? And, oh yeah, it exists, but your guys won't give it to you. Well, sorry, it must be terrible to become president and find out you have no power. It's just got to be terrible. It's got to be so frustrating.
Well, Snowden said that the United States is run by the tall whites in his release. So do they have some kind of meeting behind closed doors and the tall whites walk out and they're 18, 20 feet tall, and then the president shits his pants? I mean, I just had this visual.
Well, Eisenhower made the first agreement with the tall whites in 1956. Right. That's when all these the 60 species involved in the Super Federation. There are 60 different advanced species in our galaxy. And the most advanced species have formed a super federation, and it's the super federation you're talking about. And the leaders of the super federation came down and they met with Eisenhower in '56. Once we had evolved into once we had Warp 1, which we had in '29 from Nikola Tesla, but the United States didn't have Warp 1 until the late '40s, early '50s, because Nikola Tesla sold to the Nazis. The United States didn't have it.
Oh.
No, the United States didn't get Warp 1. The United States didn't get Warp 1 until 1952, which is kind of interesting.
Aren't they the leaders still technologically on the planet beyond? They got the tech, right?
Who?
The Americans. Now they have.
Right? They have the tech. They have a lot of stuff. I can tell you what they have. We have a lot of stuff, but it's all being suppressed because that's part of the agreements they made with these 60 species. They started making these crazy agreements with these crazy species because they were so enamored with the technology. I call it selling Manhattan for a few glass beads again. I mean, these guys are so stupid. They actually sold out humanity to these races. They literally sold us out and agreed to suppress the technology. That was part of the agreement. For a few pieces, of technology. For a few pieces of technology.
Why do they want us to suppress the technology? Why
that was part of the agreement.
Other species
they don't want us out there. They don't want 7 billion. They don't want 7 billion monkeys. They consider us monkeys. They don't want 7 billion monkeys out around the galaxy.
So then we're never going to get out there unless they want us. Are they going to want us?
No, that's not true.
They want us now?
Spirit beings. No, Janet. The spirit beings surrounded our solar system. Remember, we have a new sheriff in town.
Yeah, tell our listeners that. They don't know this. You got a bunch of people that don't know the story.
What that means, right.
Yeah. What does that mean? Yes.
Well, the spirit beings came in on December 5th, 2014, and they surrounded our solar system with a force, a field that can't be penetrated, can't get in, can't get out with their permission. And they won't let any of the secret space program personnel in or out. So they're in lockdown. They call it quarantine. The spirit beings call it quarantine, but I call it lockdown. They're on lockdown. You've been bad to your people. You bad leaders.
Bad.
And the 60 races that put us in this situation, that made those agreements with the United States to suppress the technology. They've been chastised and they're on lockdown, meaning they can't get in to mess with us and they can't get out their assets that are here. And so then they're afraid of the spirit beings. And they've been told by the spirit beings, no, you got to release it. You have to release the technology to humanity. You can't keep them in the dark. You're just going to have to bring them all up. But we're all on lockdown, not just our leaders. So even if we do all learn about these things, it's not so easy to get around the galaxy anymore. But we definitely can't get around the solar system. There's a lot to explore in the solar system. in this solar system.
So what about our colonies that are out beyond into the galaxy?
You won't get to that.
All on their own?
You have to have special permission from the spirit beings. They are allowing some people through. You can't have committed any crimes against humanity. When you ask for permission, you have to ask for formal permission. Like going to court, you have to ask for petition the court for a pass to get through the barrier. And so you petition the spirit beings to get through the barrier, and you have to have a reason. Why do you want to go? Where are you going? What are you going to do there? But the most important thing is you have to agree to go through trial. You have to agree to stand trial. Did you commit any crimes against humanity? Which pretty much eliminates almost everybody in the secret space program. So, but the new people who are gonna, from as free energy gets released, and then more disclosure about what's really going on out around the galaxy and the solar system and all these other species becomes common knowledge. People are going to want to, can I go out there and study this? And can I go to that colony? And the spirit beings will allow it because those people will pass trial. They didn't commit any crimes against humanity.
What do they consider crimes against humanity?
Suppressing technology.
Okay.
Giving up 100,000 people a year to the Greys for experiments. Small things like that.
So who do they consider having committed that? It's
the leadership
Eisenhower, or is that everybody?
The leadership of the secret space program that made all those agreements with all those aliens to do all those weird things.
So who do they consider?
And then we went with the Dracos throughout the galaxy, defeating other peoples and committed crimes against other peoples. And oh man, the spirit beings are not happy, very very unhappy with the direction humanity went. They want to see a change in leadership. So they locked them down. They said, you want to get rid of your own people? Fine. Guess what? You're on lockdown. You're stuck here. So whatever's going on down here, you're getting it too. So all that pollution that they were going to throw in the air and destroy our planet with, guess what? They're here too. So they have a vested interest now in reversing the damage to the environment that they caused intentionally.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Who exactly are these spirit beings?
Oh, the spirit beings. They are the most advanced species throughout the universe. There's 5 of them in the group. We only know of 3. Corey claims that he met the other 2, but that's okay. I don't care if he met them or not. He's not telling us. The first 3 are the blue avians. They appear like bluebirds, really cool bluebirds. And then there's the triangle-headed beings. They're golden triangle-headed beings, which have a more like a diamond-shaped head rather than... No, it's triangular. I'm sorry, it's triangular. And then you have the spear beings themselves, which they actually appear in little spears, like the size of your fist, in a little spear of energy. Yeah. And so those are the 3 that we know of in the spear being alliance. But the reason that the reason they have superiority technologically is because they mastered the 8th force. Remember I told you there are more than the basic forces of energy you know of, the 8th force being the most advanced and the most purest of energy forms. Nothing can penetrate the 8th force, and they surrounded our solar system with an 8th force shield that we can't penetrate. Nobody can come in, nobody can come out unless you have mastered the 8th force. And these five groups, these 5 species, they administer the 8th force throughout the universe. Anybody that's about to develop the 8th force, they come down on them like a ton of bricks, make sure that they're advanced enough to be playing around with. And Marilyn Houston, Lockheed Martin, she's out there playing around with the 8th force, and that was one of the main reasons they put us on lockdown, because we're about ready to develop the 8th force, the most powerful energy form in the universe, and they consider us a little too young for that.
Like playing with fire, yeah.
Yeah, well, I believe we are kids playing with toys we don't understand.
Well, that force when you are in an 8th force ship, nothing can touch you, but you can touch anyone else. It is so powerful of an energy form. It's just incredibly powerful energy form. And Marilyn Houston, she was all into trying to develop it, and she did. She made major progress, and that's why they put us. That was the main reason they put us on lockdown. They're like, no, that's too much power, guys. You're way too young for that.
Is she aware of what's happened?
Yeah, she knows. She was told in 1989 that was what was going to happen, because that's when the spirit beings started coming. That's when she started developing her lab, her special scientist in the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works group started making progress on developing the 8th Force, and Boyd Bushman was one of those people. She personally led that particular group, and they were making progress in '89, and that's when the Spear Beings came. Anybody that starts messing with the 8th Force, the Spear Beings show up. They showed up and they were watching. Then she made a major breakthrough on December 4th, 2014, and sure enough, they put us on lockdown on December 5th, 2014.
So they appeared to her personally.
No, they don't appear. They watch. The 8th Force.
How is she aware? How is she
was aware that they had moved in. She was aware that they moved into the solar system in 1989. She was told, because we had eyes on their ships that were moving into our solar system. We tried to attack their ships and try to communicate with their ships, and no success. There's nothing that penetrates an 8th Force ship, an 8th form of energy ship. And we even tried to attack them. We tried communicating with them. No avail. Nothing. They wouldn't talk back. They wouldn't even talk back. They wouldn't communicate. They wouldn't tell us what they were doing here. So she was quite aware it was going on. She just didn't know what was going on. She had no idea that they were going to put a barrier around our solar system. She had no clue. Not the slightest.
How is she in the loop? Who tells her what's going on? How does she know?
She's a major player in the whole program. What do you mean? How does she know? She has 250 million assets out there that are under her command. What are you talking about? We're talking about people under her command. 250 million.
Oh, so she's in the secret space program.
Oh, she's one of the top leaders. She's always been. I like her because she has always wanted the technology to be released. She was the one that sponsored Boyd Bushman's video Anti-Gravity. She was trying to tell you all, hey, there's this 6th Force out here. Let me bench it for you all. Check this out. She still keeps it up, except it got gutted quite a bit. But when it originally went up, she showed you precisely how it works. She benched the 6th Force for you guys, and she still keeps it up. Oh no, she wants the technology released, but she isn't in control. She's not in charge of the program. She's just one voice in the ruling committee. The ruling committee is made up of 200 people. She's only one. And she's a woman, so of course she's being discriminated against.
Of course, yeah, it's a role of a woman. You get discriminated against.
Well, come on, you gotta know they got a bunch of male chauvinists that are on the top, right? You know that, right, Janet? Right?
I know. I've dealt.
Yeah, we know
that's a given, right? Yeah, that's a given.
Divine feminine has been neutralized,
Yeah,
anyway,
we've been dealing with that for a long time.
There's only a handful of women on the top committee, only a handful, and so they don't have much power. They're just a small voice in that group. But she's highly respected because she was the one that figured out how the portals work, and she was the one that did the development in the 8th Force and the 7th Force. I mean, she's highly respected. She's so respected they gave her. You gotta understand how powerful this woman is. She is the president, the CEO, and the chairman of the board of Lockheed Martin.
That's pretty powerful.
Now, how old is she? She's pretty powerful. How old is she?
I don't know. I didn't check her age. I have a feeling she's still very young, meaning
she's young.
Physically young. I don't know. I haven't checked on that. I just feel that she's young. But younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. She's some person, right? The best way to describe her is you remember Samantha Carter, Stargate?
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
yeah,
that's her.
That's her. Okay. So
that's.
And are we zooming around in Stargate?
No, yeah, she did the portal. She was the one that figured out how the portals work. How the gates work.
Okay. How the gates work. And how do they work?
Oh my God. You want to talk about advanced 6th Force and 7th Force physics? Please, Janet. It's a combination of 6th Force and 7th Force physics. It's highly complicated.
Okay.
She figured it out.
People believe that's what CERN's all about, is opening up portals.
Well, they think they are, but they're infants compared to Lockheed Martin's people. They're almost a joke. playing around with electricity. Everybody laughs at that. That's in the program that knows. The real power is the 6th and 7th force.
Well, now, the first time I heard of the 6th and 7th force.
Oh, really?
No, hang on. Was Edgar Rice Burroughs.
You need to pick up Boyd Bushman's anti-gravity video and
let me finish what I was saying. The first time I heard of them forces was in the books by Edgar Rice Burroughs with John Carter of Mars series from back in the 40s.
Oh, yeah, they mentioned that. Yeah, they mentioned that they didn't have it.
Oh no, he was saying these forces. He called them rays. Is what he called them.
Okay.
So this is kind of, it's like science fiction kind of foretells our future.
Oh, well, yeah. It's soft disclosure, a lot of it. They did that. Still doing it. Star Trek was soft disclosure. It was intentional soft disclosure. It was actually a poll. They wanted to see how many people believed it. They were very unhappy with the amount of people that believed Star Trek was real.
Right. You were saying, what percentage believed it? We
13.
That before.
13. They were unhappy with 30. When they told me 13, I was going, 13% of people that you polled believed it was real? I was so surprised. I was amazed. That's a big percentage. You're talking about when it first came out in the 60s. That's a really big percentage. They were very unhappy with that percentage. They were hoping for a lot more.
Yeah, out of 400 million people, there's probably about 300 million then in the United States.
Yeah, they polled, how many people believed it was fiction or not, and a lot of people did believe it was real. A lot more than I thought would have believed that I thought we were going to believe it was real during that period. So your guys really like the high-tech stuff. They're not going to let the high-tech stuff come out first. They're going to it'll be free energy first. And that's all that's necessary. I call this the transitional technologies, and it's all based on magnetic energy.
Well, that alone would change the reality that we know.
Yes, that's sufficient.
I mean, it wouldn't take very long either.
Well, it sort of complies with their agreements that they made ever since 1956. All these agreements they made with these 60 different advanced species that run the Super Federation, and it complies with the agreements we've made with them because unless you have Warp 1, you ain't moving around the solar system. And so the six forces Warp 1. They don't want that out.
So when we did our conference in October, we had a bunch of secret space program super soldiers, and Randy Kramer was there, and he was saying that they're negotiating a couple things. One of them is for us to be we're actively doing trade. There's a part of our society that's trading, and the top two products that we trade in the galaxy or in the solar system, I guess now, are beer and children's clothing, because he said the average height of the species is about 16 feet, so we're on the small side, and then of course you've got the little grays and stuff like that, but they like our children's clothing because it fits a smaller species, so they like wearing like jeans and the styles. They like our fashions and they like our beer, but we're supposedly, according to him, negotiating to be open contact and trading with this faction that's already trading. They're going to be expanding that, but they said that we were bad. We had broken some of the what did you call it? The roles. We've broken some of the roles, and part of it is like our extreme racism and violence and stuff like that. So we're apparently actively negotiating to be more acceptable to them. But he was talking about how he went out to, I guess it was Saturn. I think it was Saturn, or is it Uranus? Anyway, there's a facility there where it's kind of like Deep Space Nine, right? Where all the species. Oh,
that's around Saturn. It's just like Deep Space Nine. It's a big artificial space station that is orbiting Saturn. That's correct.
Right. Have you been on that?
No. I was way out there in the galaxy on a big cruiser.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said that they have this room and everybody can sit and talk to each other, and they have universal translator. So we're talking about all these technologies, like a universal translator. We can talk to anybody, any species.
Yeah, sure. That's easy. Universal translator is super easy. Come on, you can Google Translate these days, almost anything.
Right. Well, we're talking about live while you're speaking.
Well, they're working with supercomputers, and we're working with snail computers.
Right. So what are some of the technologies like the replicator, the transporter, the universal translator? What are some of the things that we're not even aware of that didn't make it into Star Wars or Star Trek?
Just take the computer. Just take the computer. In 1965, Richard Feynman shared the Nobel Prize in Physics for the quantum computer. The quantum computer, that was one of the first quantum computer we were installing those in ships at that time, and they actually let him publicize it and his paper on it and everything, and he shared the Nobel Prize for it. I read the paper. Quantum computers are 10,000 times faster than the computer that you're playing on right now. 10,000 times faster. So, yeah, universal translator, easy.
What are some other technologies that we don't even know about? I've heard about
transporters are real. Transporters are real. Nikola Tesla invented the transporter, and he demonstrated it in 1901. I can show you the photos.
So, did you get wounded when you were a
everybody
soldier
gets wounded. Everybody gets wounded, but you get they mend you real quick in a med pod. You get mended up real fast. Everybody gets wounded, but I didn't get that. I didn't get that body. I didn't get to keep that body. That body's all scarred up. I didn't get to keep that.
So tell us about that. What do you mean you didn't get to keep your body? People are going,
when you do your 20 and back, you do your 20 years service. They take you when you're 17 and a half. You go into the program. You go out. You serve for 20 years, and then they drop you off exactly at the moment they picked you up when you were 17 and a half.
What's the magical
in your 17 and a half in your 17 and a half year old body?
So they bring you back to your 17-and-a-half-year-old body. So how does that work? So we're being moved around in clothes and taken and repaired, and this body's there and da. What? How's that work?
Traveling in time is pretty simple. Einstein, of course, many people talked about traveling in time, and time travel is not a big deal. Montauk, traveling experiments, time travel experiments, all real. But probably the easiest way to start reading up on time travel is to start with Einstein's paper on special relativity, and then his second paper 10 years later on general relativity. And he was really talking about that time travel was feasible. And so it's not infeasible to go back in time 20 years. That's very real. We do it all the time. The problem is that you can't return, you can't contaminate any timeline. Every planet is on its own timeline. It's its own time well. It's on its own timeline. And you can go outside of this time well, do 20 years somewhere else, and then you can come back to this timeline, but you can't contaminate this timeline you have to have your memories wiped for one thing, but you also can't do anything in the past on this timeline. If you go back in time, you have to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
You have to go somewhere. So you don't go back in time on this timeline?
No, not here. You can't. No, that's against the rules. There are very strict rules. Time travel is mostly used for traveling, because we travel through time in order to go from large distances across the galaxy. We travel through time to do that, because there's no other way to get across the galaxy except to travel through time. So that's permitted. Traveling is permitted through time, but you can't come back on the same timeline. You're not allowed to travel back in time 20 years on this timeline and go messing around with the future, messing around with this timeline. See, you can go outside of this time well, off this planet, somewhere else. But when they bring you back, you have to have your memories wiped so you don't contaminate this timeline in any way. with the knowledge that you have. Well, they were suppressing the technology as well. They weren't erasing our memories just for that reason. They didn't want the technology to get out, so they suppressed our memories.
Right.
Took our memories away. Go ahead, Janet.
Well, who enforces these rules? Because like Montauk was, apparently there have been people who have played with alternative timelines. A lot of people have written about it. Montauk talks about it. And,
there was supposed to have been a major time incursion. You're correct. There was supposed to have been a major time incursion, and it was done by the Americans. And they tried to change something that happened. They tried to change something that happened. Apparently, the outcome of the war wasn't supposed to go the way we think it did. And the problem with that is that you get sanctioned for when you do that. When you make a time incursion, the people who administered time, they come and they see you and they say, well, guess what? Now you're responsible for fixing it. Yeah, okay.
So this is a species that sanctions you for time.
Well, the Federation,
crimes.
The Super Federation does that.
Federation.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I had an experience because I'm in this program, I guess, or I'm an experiencer, and so I was shown when I was 4. I was taken on board a ship, and I was shown 24 timelines. And when I was up there, I was like in my eternal self. I wasn't a 4-year-old. The awareness was my eternal being self, and then I was asked to choose. We're talking about 1958, probably summer of '58, and I came back, and we were on a different timeline than we are here. And I know that after 20 years after the Philadelphia experiment on August 12th of 1943, I think it was, over there in Montauk, they were experimenting with time. And apparently they hijacked the timeline that I was on, and that's how we ended up with being on the timeline where Kennedy got shot and Martin Luther and all that stuff. So, which timeline are we on? We're not on.
You're talking about a time spur, and there have been major corrections that have been made. They actually went back and made the corrections, but it wasn't 100% back to the natural timeline, the way things are supposed to unfold. The natural timeline instead of you're not supposed to go messing around in time. That's a time spur, time incursion, and they do. Time is elastic. It will fix itself over time, even though it takes hundreds of thousands of years for it to fix itself over time. But we were allowed to go back and make some fixes, and we did. Most of it's been fixed. Most of it's been returned. It's not absolutely 100% the way it's supposed to be, but it's pretty much fixed.
Okay.
Anyway,
you know what was broken?
No, I don't. No,
yeah.
I remember. All my service was not here. I didn't serve in this solar system.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was aware that. I don't know how it was broken. I just know that it was broken. It was not. It was for me. It was very sad. It's because I had kind of fast forwarded through and felt it and was aware. So it's part of my sadness in this timeline. And I know other people, they go, this isn't the timeline I was on when I was born. And I go, yeah, I understand that. Some people express it and they're aware of it.
People actually remember the prior timeline. That's interesting.
I get that a lot, and because I'm a psychotherapist, so I get people and they go, wait, this isn't right.
Wouldn't that explain the Mandela effect?
No, that's actually something else, but that's okay. No, that's something else. Everybody never remembers everything exactly the way we're not computers. We don't remember things. Most people don't have photographic memory. You only remember 25% of the stuff you were taught in college, and even if you're that good, And you can't really relate. You don't really remember everything you saw, and you see it a different way than it really was. It's we all have imperfect senses, so we don't really see everything exactly the way it happened. But that's okay.
Yeah. Well, we're more complicated in our senses. So our awareness, like the people who say they're aware of that, it's more of it, almost like an emotional level. That's why I express it. It's like a sadness, like, oh, I knew we were going in this one, and now we're in this one. It's like, but that's good to. So did the Nazis play with time
No.
Are you aware of the dynamics?
No, they weren't. They weren't the ones. They weren't the ones that did that. It was the United States that went back and messed with it, and then the Super Federation charged them and made them go back and fix it, and then they didn't do such a good job, and then they said, well, you should nudge it back. Don't try to make major changes, and do your nudges, slowly and gradually, and it's hard. They don't really, and that's another reason why we're on lockdown, is because we went and messed with our timeline, and you're not supposed to be around, jumping around the galaxy, dealing with other people with a contaminated timeline, because people that are involved weren't supposed to be here. Some of the people that are out and about, they don't let people out and about in the galaxy that weren't supposed to be. See, because then that contaminates other people's timelines. So that's one of the things the spirit beings are doing with the barriers. They're like, well, wait a second, you weren't supposed to be, so you don't get to go out and contaminate any other people's timelines. And you're trying to grasp too much, Janet.
Well, I'm curious.
That's okay.
I'm a very curious person, because I have all this awareness.
I'm just trying to get free. I'm just trying to get the transition technology released and out in society. I'm going for an easy one, Janet.
Well, I know you are, and I'm already ready to go to the because I've been out there. See, that's part of my, I've been on these ships. I've been there. It's like,
you miss it, Janet. You miss it, Janet. You want to be out there again. You miss it. You miss it. You really miss it.
Well, it's not only for that. It's like I want humanity to have this, because there's so much struggle here. People. It's sad that people are starving to death.
Yes, when you go to one of these other civilizations, and there's no war, and there's no disease, and there's no poverty, and there's no people are living thousands of years. It's like you're jealous. Well, why can't we have that? I so get that, Janet.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, that's why I want to speed things up. And even
me too.
I know
me too, Janet. I'm working hard to do that. That's what I'm preventing.
I just want to jump in a vehicle and go to town without it costing me $5.
And when you and some people ask, well, what does that look like in a vehicle? And I said, well, one of the things that was discussed is, well, can we take out our gas engine, remove the gas tank, and swap in a magnetic energy powered engine? Yes, you can.
That'd be so cool.
You don't even need a vehicle completely designed specifically for with. We actually have a transition period where we take out your gas engine and we put in a magnetic engine that has all the same performance characteristics of your gas engine, except it lasts 30 years and doesn't need to be refilled. And it fits in the same spots, the same both places, and it has pistons and everything. It's very unique. It's a transitional technology where we swap out your gas engine, take out your gas tank, swap in a magnetic engine for your gas engine. Yeah, that's one of the.
I can't wait for this technology to hit the street.
It's one of the transition technologies. What was your question, Tom?
We can't wait. No, we can't wait. You got to do. Go ahead, Tom.
I see the implications that it will give.
We get the public behind this as well.
Right. Well, see, that was the reason I wanted to, speak about this tonight is because the more people who understand that this stuff is possible, the more they're going to want it,
Well, it really helps when the United States comes out formally and says, hey, guess what? Free energy is real. Look, we peer reviewed it. NASA's peer reviewed the M drive. And that's why I'm going to go over that with you and teach you exactly how that works and why that is the first formal disclosure of free energy the United States has made. And we're going to teach it to you, explain it, actually show it to you, but I need visual aids to do that, Janet.
Well, we're going to do that.
has the ability to get you on camera and stuff.
Yeah, sure. I'll get that. We'll get that. Zoom. Well, Daniel's going to create his PowerPoint so we can do that. So we're going to be doing that.
That would be awesome.
Within a couple of weeks, we'll be doing that, and then we're going to. So we're here to change the planet. Now, if we get this out there, which we are doing, let's talk about advocacy. How can we advocate for this technology? Do we call our senators?
It's all about knowledge. the more people that are absolutely convinced that free energy is real and it's not fiction, it's not science fiction, the more people that are convinced it's absolutely real, they're going to start going to their politicians and demanding it. They're going to say, wait a second, I know this is real. You can't tell me anymore it's not. And I'm not going to vote for you if you're going to tell me it's not.
There we go.
Yeah. So that it's all about knowledge and education. And I know how to educate the people at their level of math capabilities. That's why I'm talking to the public, because I know how to teach them at their level of understanding, their level of education. I will teach them how the M drive works at their level of comprehension.
Physics isn't a high school.
No, really. I make it really simple. And after I've explained it, you'll go, oh, my God, that was so simple.
Well, I gone and checked out the M drive. I see the potential.
No, but I'm going to actually teach you how it works in very simple, at the level of science that most of you have. So that when I finish, you'll go, oh, wow, that was so easy to understand. And then once you realize that this technology is real, because I'm not only going to go over the M drive, I'm going to go over Beacon Power's flywheel technology, which is running big generators out in Pennsylvania, and they're installed and they're real and they're in the United States. And I'm going to go over the buoyancy generator, and I'm going to show you how these things work. And once you're all convinced that these things are real, you're going to demand that you have them.
Is the buoyancy generator in a wave generator?
No, it's in a tube. It's in a tube of water, about 5 feet in diameter, all the way to the ceiling, and it's a bunch of floats that run on a chain.
Well, you know the technology.
We're going to go over it. See, it helps if I have the capability of visual aids, Tom. I can show you what I'm talking about.
Well, what I was saying is any kind of akin to what they use on waves that generate electricity.
No. That's wave harvesting. That's harvesting wave energy. That's not free energy. It is in a way, but it's not this kind of free energy. Oh, no. You're talking about a 50. They're selling 15 kilowatt generators that are running off of nothing. No waves.
All right.
I will show you this stuff at your level of comprehension.
Well, I understand the buoyancy principle.
I described it a little bit, but it helps if I can actually show it to you, pictorially, and then explain. It's much better. It's much easier.
Let me know when you get the PowerPoint ready. I know you're busy with embedding and
we'll talk about that.
All that other stuff that you need to do.
We'll talk about that.
Whatever it is, we'll do it.
But we have a lot of these to go. We have a lot of these to go over. And once you all understand the technology, and you go, "Oh my God, this is real! It's real! This isn't science fiction. This is real."
I know this.
I want one. I want one now.
Yeah, that's my point. I want one now.
Right, but you need millions of voices saying that. You need millions of voices saying that.
My electric bill is so expensive. My gas bill. I live
millions
in
of voices.
Everything's so expensive.
Not expensive, Janet. It's not expensive. Not expensive, Janet.
No, I want it to be down to nothing, like you're going to make it, so then I can have money.
It'll be less than. Actually, I do it at 1/20th of a penny per kilowatt hour is my generators, and that's the initial price.
So how fast will our planes
penny per kilowatt hour? And I make a huge profit. And I make a huge profit at that price.
Okay. Cool. You deserve it. You're getting all this stuff.
No, but
now how fast are our planes going to go?
1/20th of a penny per kilowatt runs everything in your house, all your air conditioning, all your heating, everything for 30 years straight. It might cost $2,000 for the generator.
Awesome.
$2,000 for the generator in your house. They want to start with the grid generators, and I'm okay. I'll play along with the government for a little while. That won't last.
That way they can regulate it. And,
no, it ain't going to work that way, Tom.
Well, then they should allow home generators.
No, they don't want those because you can put those in a laser rifle and go shoot holes in banks. No, one step at a time. One thing at a
How are you
time.
going to get it in the homes then? If they can put
We'll
it
get to
later?
the ones. We'll get to the ones that are independent and run the house, but they don't want those because they're too hard to. They're too dangerous. Right, they're just too.
So how are they going to ever not be dangerous? How
No,
are
they will be. They will be. They want to see how the grid ones go first. They want to see how well we do with that transition first. I'm okay with that.
So how fast are we
It's
able
only
to
going to be a
fly?
short period of time. It's only going to be a short period of time when we put them in jets and we put them in planes and we put them in cars,
Okay.
we put them in trucks. It's going to be a very short period of time.
Will the planes be faster? Are we? I mean, it takes 5
They
hours.
don't need to be faster, but they have the capability of going 6 times faster with my jet engine and my turbo.
It takes me 5 hours just to get the.
No, they go
West
6
Coast.
times faster. No,
Minimal.
they're 6 times faster, but I don't know if they're going to allow things to go that fast. They go 6 times faster, but you have to do a lot more things to the plane to do that. I don't know. I do know that my engines allow jets to go 6 times faster.
So okay, so then they have to have some other technology besides a metal box to go 6 times faster, right? Because
there's a lot more you have to have. It's a major structural redesign in order to get the structure to be able to handle those forces. Yeah, there's a lot more.
So how do they travel on these planets that you visit? How do they travel around these planets?
6-4. Oh, we're talking warp. Oh, no. We travel through gates. We travel through wormholes. We travel through temporal drives. But the major means of travel is a warp 9.8 engine.
And what do they put that in? Or do you go in a car? Or,
Ships.
I mean,
No,
say
those
you want to get from
you don't
here
put a warp 9.8
to the other
engine
side
in
of
a
the
car. No, those are spaceships
No,
you're
how do
talking
you-
about. You asked about transporting between planets. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about. I want to go see my sister in Pennsylvania to have lunch.
Oh,
They want to
eventually you're going to do gates. There'll be gates. You step into a gate and then you pop over to another gate. You walk out of another gate. Gates between. They'll have gates. You'll have gates to walk in. You don't get in. You don't get on an aircraft and fly anymore. But that's quite a ways from now. That technology is quite a ways from now. You're talking about immediately. You were just talking about faster planes. That's what we're talking about.
So that's what that'll be.
Well, even at a warp 9 engine, I mean, what do you mean by warp 9? Is that 9 times faster than the speed of light?
9 times the speed of light. Warp 1 is the speed of light. Warp 2 is 2 times the speed of light. Warp 9 is 9 times the speed of light. 9.8 is the fastest engines that we have, that the United States has in ships. You remember Star Trek? You know?
Yeah, I remember Star Trek. I'm still watching it.
Scotty, what was it? Scotty, give me more power. And I think they were talking about Warp 6 at the time, and then they went into Deep Space Nine, and then they were going around past Warp 9, around Warp. You remember? That's all real.
Yeah. Okay, so one last question, because we're running out of time. Where do you go when you die? What do you know? You said that people eventually die.
Oh, your soul is immortal. Your soul is immortal. You go to some other.
Where do you go?
Your soul is immortal. You go to another. You get another material body somewhere else in the universe. You just get transferred to somewhere other.
So you
get born somewhere else. The cycle of birth and death. You get born.
I want a tropical planet with beaches.
Yeah. You get born somewhere else. The cycle of birth and death.
Do you have any control over that?
Me? No.
You know?
No.
If they have something that's really important, like Tesla,
the United States doesn't have control of that. The United States doesn't have that.
Does anybody in space have control of that? Does any of the species?
They do, but they're not allowed to use it. The spear beings do, but they don't use it. You're not allowed to. It's forbidden technology. The spear beings can do that.
They can bring back somebody.
They're allowed to do that as a They're allowed to do that as a sanction. It's kind of like the devil, just signing you to hell. They can do that. Spirit beings can do that, but it's a sanction. When you get punished, a sanction, a punishment.
Yeah.
Send you to a terrible place. They can do that.
Oh no, that's real. Okay, I'm gonna go to hell. Ooh.
Yeah,
all right.
But we can't do that.
How much time we have?
The spirit beings have that technology.
We go right to the top of the hour on this show.
Oh, okay. So we have another
6 minutes.
Oh, we go all the way to the 6 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I get a couple extra minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
But the recording
Are you having fun with this one, Tom? A little bit of secret space program, a little bit of technology.
Oh, no, I'm fine. It's good. I mean, I do speak of the aliens and stuff with some of the guests, but like I said, I'm interested in this tech because I think this will change our whole paradigm. It would completely change the human race within a decade.
Yes. And it's this decade. And I know what those technologies are because I'm inventing.
How many decades I got left?
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
You know, a lot of people in the military, they come to me and say, "Aren't you a little old for starting to be a physicist? You know, starting a physics career? Aren't you a little old for starting a physics career?" I get that a lot from these DoD people. And I said, you know, Nikola Tesla worked till he was 86, Boyd Bushman till he was 96. I said, I'm starting a 30-year career.
Right.
I hike 30 miles a week. I used to be a water polo national champion in high school and college. I still swim. My twin brother swam the Catalina Channel, at the age of 55. And we go hiking regularly. I work out regularly.
Well, you're genetically enhanced, so you probably.
Oh, you're right, Janet. I did have a leg up. That's my point. Is I'm going to be doing this for the next 30 years. That's what I tell them.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Well, I work with some of the people that are part of the Methuselah Foundation and SEND and the longevity, and they have their research just like you have yours in physics, and they think that Dr. Aubrey de Grey said that. They're going to figure out how to live to be 1,000 pretty easy. Not 150, not 120, whatever.
The only thing that
but
stops
1,000
us from living that long now is the telomeres on our genes. You know, and they've been deliberately shortened according to the geneticists.
That is correct.
Right.
Our natural lifespan is 1,000 years, and we will return to that.
Right.
I don't know when, because that's not my science. That's not what I'm working on.
Well, when I talked to him
but I do
last
know that's
in
correct.
person,
I know that's correct.
He said that they have the technology right now. It's just getting it out. Same quandary that you have, and it's already been embedded. And they think that, like you said, the popular demand. People say, and they'll probably start with the rich. The rich will start getting it. They'll keep it. Actually, there's people that are doing it already. Probably your royals and your billionaires are just, getting new bodies, and they're pretending to die and fade away, and then they emerge as somebody else. They emerge as their own grandchild or something, you know?
Yeah.
So apparently it exists. But getting it out, it's just like getting out the machines for our homes and our cars. We have to get through the politics. And so that's what I'm working on. How do we get through the politics and demand that these things that already exist be given to the people?
Well, once you free people from economic slavery, which is what I'm working on, then they become politically active because they have the time to do that. And they will say, "Wait a second, if this is true, well then then that might be true." So then they'll demand that. They'll demand those things. You'll see.
Cool.
Well, that's a big problem.
You have your timeline. Go ahead.
Millions of Toms and millions of Janets.
That's really a big problem here in the United States is the time. I mean, they keep you humping at a job, 8 to 10 hours a day, and then you come home, you just want to, you got to make dinner and, all that kind of stuff. By the time, you're ready to go to bed.
That's right.
And they keep
exactly. And that's what I'm working on, freeing people up so that they have the time to become politically involved.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I've enjoyed it tonight. It's been a good show, and I'm glad you came on, Janet.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it.
I'm glad I'm here. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, it was a good show, I thought. You still got 2 minutes to go, but I want to remind everybody that we are totally listener supported, so if you got a buck or two, we'd sure appreciate it. Up next on Studio A is Noreen with Wild at Heart's Roundtable, so call in and tell her what you think. Over on B is Spaced Out Radio with